Authority for the City of Bethlehem.
This is nice.
Monthly meeting, Thursday, August 25th. So today at 5. The agenda we have here, we have minutes from July 11th. Heather, that was the special meeting, right?
It was. Well, it was a rescheduled regular meeting.
Rescheduled regular meeting. Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to entertain those minutes?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments, questions, edits? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry.
Okay.
Well,
I didn't know if you were nodding because I was looking
we
down.
usually do it by acclamation. I thought maybe we'd move it in.
He has this listen.
Right.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay. Minutes passed. Courtesy of the floor. Anything from anyone?
Saying anything?
Items requiring board action. Hoover Mason Trestle Garden Maintenance. So the RDA has been asked to review and consider the proposal from French Gardens LLC for providing garden maintenance services for August through December 2024 for the landscaping at the trestle. So if acceptable, this proposal can be approved via motion. I believe it is in your packet. Do I have a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any
Question. And this could be forever. For a long time, this was done. Tony had a guy, and I don't know.
guy.
You remember?
So-
Heather.
They have a song now. I have a guy for that. Literally, there's a song. I have a guy for that. You don't know the song?
Oh, I'm going to send him that in a text. But anyway, so this is there a reason we have? I never knew who the guy was, but I assumed we were paying
It
him.
was Edge of the Woods last year.
So it was Jane Cook. So it was a gal with a group of volunteers, and they had been doing this for many years. And I think they're at the point now where they're just aging out of the ability to kind of continue to maintain these flower beds. So she's actually been working to kind of off ramp her and her team. She's been working with Chris Sewell from with the city, kind of to prepare a game plan for the volunteer group ending its work. And she's been working with this firm that you're hopefully approving tonight. And they've been really great about working with her to continue to keep up the quality of flower bed maintenance and garden maintenance on the trestle. So our understanding is that this firm has actually been out shadowing with Jane and her group of volunteers, and she feels confident that they can
I
continue.
mean, I have no idea. I guess is that a good price that we're getting? I mean,
Well, so actually, can I ask a question that might get to that?
by all means.
What are your procurement requirements of the city? And I'm asking this because I literally was in ours today at LVPC. So we have certain levels of spending that require certain levels of procurement procedures. And so were there other proposals solicited? Were there quotes given? How did we obtain this one?
Honestly, Laura and I had met, and this predated Sean joining us. We had met with Jane down there. She was trying to get landscapers involved. It was virtually impossible to get a landscaper out there that will do anything other than cut grass, cut and blow. That's all she could find. So these people were doing they take care of the area. It's an area that's public with native flowers in it that are maintained. They are very familiar with doing that work. They do it nearby. I think it's near the factory on the south side. So she had approached them about it. Because it's such a unique thing, I don't think, we didn't really go through some of those channels. I'm not sure what the threshold is. I think it's $5,000.
No, this is under the
Professional services.
this is under the procurement requirement. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But because it's so unique too, even if we had gone through all of those, we kind of still had to solicit somebody.
Sure,
like this.
sure. I just wanted to ask the question.
Yeah.
I have a
Good
question. Who owns the land where these work is being done?
I do believe it's ours.
I knew you.
That's
Are you sure?
well,
us?
it's on the trestle, so yes.
I don't think we own the trestle. There's an agreement or something. I'm not, but it doesn't. What?
Is it? Oh, go ahead.
Well, there's an agreement. I mean, I haven't looked at it for 10 years.
Here's the concern that I have.
Oh.
Has anybody
That's an
approached Arts Quest? Once again, we're funding stuff, whether it's viable or not, is really not the issue at this point, but have you talked to them about taking this over? They could say no.
I don't know that they were approached because of the unique nature of it and the skills involved. In
So-
all honesty.
Because who's involved?
The
The skills
skills.
that are required to do this, it's,
Oh, no, I'm not worried about their skills to
Sure.
do it. I'm worried about them to pay for it.
Well, I'm under the understanding that, and I don't know about an easement agreement, but I'm under the understanding that we, the RDA, own the trestle.
But the trestle runs for like, what, half a mile or something? I'll check it out, but I
Was it
didn't.
because it's on the land that we acquired? Is that it?
Can we do the following?
It's-
And I just don't
I
want
mean,
to
I
short
remember when
circuit
I
the
did it.
discussion.
Sure.
I would make a motion to table it until we find out where this property is and who owns it and whose responsibility it is. Mike may come back, the solicitor, and say, it's ours. And that would satisfy my question.
I'm looking it up right now on mine.
I really have a feeling that we don't own it. Whoever owns the casino, that big
They leased us the land, but not
No,
structures on it.
but there's agreement as to.
I remember.
I'll look at it. Hey, I could be wrong, but this would
Well,
be
if I
the
may,
first
Madam
time.
President, Sean, I'm not necessarily opposed to this. Don't get me
Sure.
wrong. I have no problem, but I'm just curious. And he brought up a good point in the sense of, and everybody did, like, sort of do a review of where we're at with the property over there. Because I remember when Stan's first came in, there was a lot going on.
Sure.
And for a long time, Tony had a guy. But anyway, but see, then there's also the trestle itself and the upkeep of the trestle. And I don't know if that reverted to the city or if we're still,
So-
there were multiple parts in all
Sure.
of this over there.
Sure.
And that's the only confusing thing for me. I don't know. I'm fine with passing this. If
Right.
you want
The land that we're talking about here in where the Levitt Pavilion is RDA controlled land. The easement agreement is on the blast furnaces. There's an easement agreement on the blast
Okay.
furnaces. But the trestle, that portion that we're talking about, is again up to the discretion of the RDA board, and we could certainly table it and kind of get you the confirmed answers. But my understanding is that RDA owns the trestle.
How does this affect our budget through December?
Actually, what this is gonna be paid from was the money, some of the money that we got from the hotel balcony sale.
Oh,
So, okay, thank you. Could we, is there like a process to see that money coming in, like a report that you do to see the money coming in and then see how this expenditure would
I
affect
have the
that?
cash reports, but,
Okay,
okay, I can get those.
okay,
I didn't have them ready for a review.
that's okay. Okay, I just wondering.
I mean, we have ample funds to cover the cost. And I think from what I understand from Laura, the discussion she had with the mayor about this was he asked that we pay it because of the money that we just got from the hotel. We use that as revenue source.
And because the trestle is our RDA's responsibility.
The structure's ours and
The upkeep of it
the
is
beds.
correct.
next
correct.
to it, okay.
And we've just had the,
I want to see them cleaned up. Nobody wants invasive species in there. It's
right. No, we've been doing it for
Important.
years. I just don't know.
I think we've just been so fortunate to have a volunteer group
Sure.
who's been willing to do it.
volunteer group, and you mentioned a name, and I'm sorry, I
Jane
don't know
Cook.
who that is. So is she with like the Master Gardeners of the Lehigh Valley or anything like
She's
that?
with those backyard gardeners. She apparently what it is. I was still under the impression that the Penn State Master Gardeners were doing it, but apparently
They're not.
they phased out of it. They are not
Yeah.
really
Okay.
around anymore.
I
And
have
this
to check
group
who
is
owns the
ones
trestle.
are the
You better
same
know.
people that do all the city parks
Who owns this freaking thing?
or places that there's landscaping like this. They do the Rose Garden
That's the reason you don't.
on the west side. They do, I guess, a couple other areas. on
No,
the
don't even
side.
say
Okay.
Chris, you're
There's
full of
one,
shit.
they
Don't
do
get
the
off
area
that.
down by the Monocacy Creek. They take care of and stuff, and they're volunteers. And typically what's happening, because I was talking to Jane when we were there, typically what happens, like the Rose Garden on 8th Avenue, a lot of people spend a lot of time in there doing that. Well, a lot of them are people that live nearby, so it's easy for them to go
Yeah.
over and do it.
Yeah.
It's easy for them to access. The trestle becomes a challenging one because it's out of everybody's way, and it's elevated, so everything has to go up and come down. And it's a much
It's
more
tough to get
What about
volunteers.
getting-
labor-intensive type of situation.
What about obviously this isn't really going to affect this, but you have the horticulture programs that like the Bethlehem Tech. Like, has there been thought about having a student group come in and do a project or anything like that?
I don't
That
know
would
if
be-
they've explored that path in any way. It does require a strong commitment though in order to do it because they actually have a schedule.
Yep.
Where they're there every so many weeks, making sure different things. And what they decided to do the approach, because they had fewer people helping, they decided the approach which each member that could help over there was going to be assigned essentially a bed.
Mm-hmm.
And that was going to be their responsibility. So whenever they had time to come and take care of their bed, they would do that. But
Could
Again,
can I ask a question?
different.
Heather, I don't want to belabor this, but when we're doing this and our solicitor is, Esquire is taking notes, which I'm glad. But anyway, we had the maintenance of the elevator, it was just maintenance. And
that's the city.
there was a,
now.
And there was a gate that.
oh,
was
wait a
up.
minute.
That's gone to the city.
So in the elevator maintenance is the city at this point?
City now does the elevator.
Okay. Well, it's good.
They-
It's catch
they
up.
can group it in with their inspections and stuff with their other
Oh,
city
that's
facilities,
cool.
the elevator facilities that they have. They can group it in on their service contract. They can do whatever they want to do with that.
So
that's
this, what they're saying is, well, you don't get the volunteer, they're not gonna do it anymore for whatever reason. And we want to get somebody to do it who's going to be good at it. And they're asking us to kick in and.
Premise upon that suggestion, I will withdraw my motion at table.
And just before we move on, I just want to provide some extra context because I was able to pull up the intergovernmental cooperation agreement between the city and the RDA relevant to continuity of staffing and maintaining RDA operations. And on the last page, it discusses properties owned by the redevelopment authority of the city of Bethlehem. Number 5 is Levitt Pavilion Steel Stacks, currently leased by Arts Quest. Hoover Mason Trestle, located adjacent to 711 First Street and extending east to property owned by Wind Creek Bethlehem near Sands Boulevard, Bethlehem.
Oh.
So it is our property.
So it's our property.
Yes.
How did he find that out? You should take a note.
Yeah, I still, I didn't think we owned it.
Thank you,
but
Sean.
okay.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate that.
Sure.
Yeah, well, I mean,
So we have a motion and a second to approve. Are we ready for a vote, or do you guys have anything else you want to
he
add?
withdrew his motion, so he didn't get a second anyway.
Yeah, I'm ready to vote.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Thank
And,
you for that.
things go on, Madam President, and like, this has been a long process with down there with the sands and everything. And you forget, I know with different times, we had discussions, and Heather knows this, about the elevator, about the trestle, about the parking. And,
Yeah, I think moving forward too, I've had a few discussions with a few of the board members thus far. I certainly know that, there's a lot of important properties you discussed that you've discussed, a couple of years ago. And so for you to have the information to understand what the status of those projects is now, as well as Tracy, to your question about the budget, those are things which I think would be informative for you, for me to be able to provide you, greater status updates on those sorts of things and kind of where we are just from month to month. So you have a informed opinion as you go into these different decisions, and we're not kind of figuring out who owns what and where the RDA line is in terms of property ownership. So these are all things I'm kind of thinking of as we move forward.
well, thank you, Sean.
Sure.
I know we had discussion already. Sorry, I'm just gonna back up 1 second. So we would manage this and this French Gardens. Like, it would be who would manage their, that they're doing what they said they were gonna do, their 4 hours.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, damn.
Would it be possible to suggest recommending working, because if the master gardeners are having trouble with future generations getting into that kind of thing, maybe suggest they work with the technical schools and see if they have any interest in that. Might be really I'm sorry, I know out there, but maybe it might make a neat school project, especially on something
Sure.
as unique as the trestle. And
Sure.
I don't want to sound like I just play devil's advocate for a minute. A lot of what they do is during off season.
Yeah.
So
Summers.
to get
yeah, this is
involved
though,
is-
this will be through the,
this will be part of being
Yeah.
through it, but a lot of their hard work
Sure, sure.
June, July, and August.
Now the next question,
It's
Oh,
another-
jeez.
what happens after this? What happens after December?
They're talking about continuing to use them as long as they
Sure.
want to, they would be willing to. Continue.
And I think this, I feel confident based upon the volunteers feeling confident about this firm in particular. But I think the fact that this agreement goes till December, gives us an opportunity to make sure that they're doing it, in keeping the vibrancy
Question
of
much
that.
simpler than that. What happens after December? Are we going to pay again?
If we would continue the contract, correct?
My only comment would be is we have 4 people for a 4-hour day. You have 16 man hours and we're paying them $1,250 a pop.
Right.
You can, over the course of a year, that's not going to be 10,000. It's going to be 25.
Sure.
So that sort of gets to my point of like trying to figure out what future volunteerism that can be drummed up. And so if there's anything that can be sort of help make any of those connections, even if it's BASD, maybe they have something.
Competitive bidding, something.
There also is an aspect to the gardens up there that I learned about, which I'll admit I was a little surprised about. Jane, who is very well versed in these plants, informed me that a lot of the plants up there are not native plants. They were put in because they were nice plants and they were similar to what the Highline has in New York, but they're not native for our site. And I clarified with her, if we get native plants in there, what happens to the maintenance?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It definitely goes down the line. So that may be something that needs to be discussed. This was an immediate thing that needed to happen.
Sure, sure,
now
sure.
For them to phase out, but that may be something to look at in the future. If we're going to be continuing to spend money, maybe it's to everyone's advantage to put some money in to get the right plants there to help save money on the back end then. And I asked her, and I don't know if she ever followed through. I asked that, could you go through bed by bed and tell us about how many plants we're talking
Yeah.
about for each bed, identify them, and just so we had an idea.
Who did the plantings?
They were done when we did the initial,
So it was the,
it was done by, they used the consultant who did the Highline in New York. Green Valley Landscaping did the actual plants.
I think,
Okay.
Plants that they bought, what they were told to buy.
yeah, sure, sure,
The
sure.
ones that were bought last year,
Who did Edge? We did something with Edge of the Woods. What did they do?
who we bought, those for last year were done to replace some that were there, some that needed to come out, some that were starting to overtake too much. So they pulled some out for that. Those are all native.
Yeah, I was gonna say they
did
only
make
do
sure
native
that
there.
They,
Yeah,
they
they only do
planted
native.
exactly what should be there and will decrease the maintenance. Because Jane said really the way these beds are, she said the beds, the grounds that they're built, the plants are in are really perfect soil because it's all elevated and it's put in. The only thing that develops weeds are droppings from
Yep.
animals and stuff. So she says the weeding should really be minimal, but because of these other things, I mean, they've been spending time pulling out stuff that's just got too invasive up there.
Yep. Okay.
So some of those hours shouldn't necessarily have to continue to be so high if the right stuff would get put in all the time too.
But I think your point's well taken, which is if there's an opportunity to
Absolutely.
make a community project out of it, especially in such a high profile location as that, it's something we could explore.
I mean, Arts Quest is a great idea. They do communities. They do all those art workshops and stuff. I mean, maybe they could have one around this
But
too.
how about one of these? How about like the community college? Do they have a horticultural program?
I mean, I know of the high school level one, but you're right. There are.
Well, even the high school, because,
opportunities.
can we get 3 or
Yeah.
4
They have
groups
to do
together?
volunteering to graduate. Yep. No.
Yeah, they have to do community service. Yes, that's true.
There's
Put that in.
community service hours.
Right.
maybe.
To work with these foremen or something.
Or go-
If I could make a request on the executive director,
Sure.
see if you could scope that out a little bit.
Mhm.
Just, root around and see if we come up with anybody.
Nice community service.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like a
It's a
plan.
very neat project, so there might be a lot of interest there. So
Eagle Scout, something.
Yeah. Often, orientation for Lehigh, schools tend to do a lot of community projects during that time to get their students.
Even just to work with the
Mhm.
plant.
Yeah.
could do a United Way Day of Caring for
Native-
replanting.
Native plant.
The hell it is.
Coyote. is-
All right. Well, thank you for that robust
Okay.
discussion. Appreciate it.
Robust.
Okay. Item number 2, requiring board action permit agreement for Vintage Market. So we've been asked to review and consider entering a joiner addendum to use permit with Christmas City Spirits LC for the use of the RDA portion of the Sun Inn Courtyard property as part of the Vintage Market in September. Did we do this one already?
No.
No, they had it June and July.
Oh,
Another one.
they call it vintage market every time? Oh, okay.
What is that?
Do they?
Right.
Okay.
Do you need a motion?
Yeah, thanks.
No, I don't know. I'll
Yes.
make a motion.
Thank you.
I will second it.
Thank you.
Question.
Yeah.
I was looking at this, I was reading it online on home. We have 2 in a row and it's the same day. Is that like it says Christmas City Spirits LCC, Christmas City Spirits LCC. Why does it have to be 2?
Those are different events.
One's
What, I thought
One is
September.
Cider
Cider
Fest,
Fest.
and
Cider
the one
Fest is the
is-
other one.
Oh, are they different dates, the events?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
And they're
that.
different events. The reason they're consistent, I guess that's the Sun-In license or whatever
Correct.
the liquor license is.
Correct. There's an
Oh.
arrangement with the Sun Inn and Christmas City Spirits, and then made even more complicated by, the RDA portion of the land. So
So this is sort of like what we did with during COVID when we gave
We gave it to the Apollo.
it to the Apollo, sort of,
Kind of, but not.
kind of.
One day
not-
event.
We've done a lot of these, which is why I thought we did it already.
Frankly, I can't think of a better use.
Yeah.
What could be better?
Insider
And
or
cider.
No, but these
Oh.
festivals use our land. We're not using it.
Yep.
Do you have a use permit?
There you
Give
go.
it back to us the way we found it. We're
Yep.
happy.
Right, okay.
Are they different? Oh, it's the word organizations putting the festivals on, which is why they're not like a nice big group permit that has like several dates.
That's what I think. it is.
Okay.
Different
Like the small
coming through
organizations or something.
Have these events. Christmas City Spirits is staying the same because they are the same ones
On the
providing
site.
the ser-
Yeah,
the
got it.
services.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second on use permit for the vintage market. All those in favor?
I
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, then we have the use permit for Cider Fest, which is the same thing, but for Cider Fest. Do I have a motion?
Sure.
Second,
Second.
discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. General discussion.
Question.
I forgot to put on for.
I was just gonna ask if he was gonna,
Sorry.
if we get reports from the executive director.
sure.
You normally put on if you
I
got
forgot.
something.
I'm sorry.
Sure. So, since I'm now in this role, I've met with a few of the board members. Would like to continue kind of to meet one-on-one just to get your sense of, where you think the RDA is, and as we continue to move forward, especially in considering different property opportunities, where to go from here. So, we'll reach out to you again to do that, to link up and schedule a time. And I think what I've learned so far is the ability to get you engaged and also to keep you informed as to the budget, as to projects, and even things you voted on in the past. What's the status of them today, as of today? Keeping you clued in, I think will help as you make decisions down the line.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Sean.
Sure.
Any other discussion?
Do you have any discussion?
Oh, that's good. Always have discussion.
Well, I know, but it's official.
I mean, the demolition.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Thank you.